السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته شيخ.
أعمالنا من يهده فلا مضل له مضلل فلا هادي. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا وسلم. Since the last 20 today, we have all been upon fasting as-Sawm in the month of Ramadan. Since the last 17 days from today, we have all been in the month of Ramadan, fasting from Al-Fitr up to Ghurub al-Shams. We have abstained from al-Muftirat, those things that break the fast. From them is food, from them is drink, from them is intercourse with wives and husbands. From that is deliberately agitating a vomit and the rest of those things. When a woman comes into menstruation, her fast becomes broken, just like a woman who delivers while fasting. The fasting automatically breaks as a result of that. So we have been in fasting from Al-Fajr, which Shamsullah told us in the Quran about fasting. And these fasts, Allah mentioned that they will be for ayyama ma'dudat, just some few days. And the scholars have explained to us that when the Quran uses that expression of a plural that shows qilla, ayyama ma'dudat, just some few days. The scholars say, would you consider 30 days or 29 days to be few? They say yes, 29 or 30 days are few, ma'dudat, ayyam ma'dudat. If you compare them to the entirety of 365 days, you will see that we have only been compared to fast for a few days. I beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this fasting before the later days, to bless the blessing of Ramadan, forgive our shortcomings, make us from the slaves that He has drawn near to Himself in the month of Ramadan and subsequently after Ramadan. Out of His favor, out of His power, may Allah grant us all these and all of what we all have been asking. And the things we need to prepare. And as Ramadan goes to an end, yes, we feel heavy hearts that Ramadan is going to an end. But from the acts of worship we need to start getting ready about is Sadaqatul Fitr, Zakatul Fitr, Sadaqatul Fitr, or Zakatul Fitr is an act of worship at the end of Ramadan. Sadaqatul Fitr or Zakatul Fitr is an act of worship that comes at the end of Ramadan. It will come either after the 29th fast at Ghurub al-Shams of the day that the fast becomes 29. For example, today is 27th. If at Ghurub al-Shams on the day that the fast will be 29th, if it is announced that the new month of Shawwal has been sighted, we have acts of worship to perform. We have Fitr at that time. We have Fitr at the end of Ramadan. That Fitr itself has Sadaqat. It has a Sadaqah. It has a charity connected to the end of Ramadan. That specially legislated charity connected to the end of the month of Ramadan is called Zakatul Fitri or Sadaqatul Fitri. The Zakah or the Sadaqah or charity connected to the end of Ramadan. The end of Ramadan is the Fitr itself. That Zakah is connected to. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar mentioned that in Al-Fitr. He said, Udifat كونها تجب بالفطر من رمضان. أضيفت الصدقة للفطر. Saying Fitri or Zakatul Fitri was connected to Al-Fitr because it becomes compulsory bil Fitri min Ramadan. As we end Ramadan, as we break the fasting of Ramadan, as Ramadan ends, then that Fitri becomes compulsory Zakatul Fitr. And many of the people of Islam have been upon this. Zakatul Fitr was in place before Zakatul Mal, before the Zakat that becomes from the pillars of Islam. Zakatul Fitr had been in place. That occurs in the hadith of Sa'ada in Sunan Nasā'ī and Sunan Majah. Before our regular Zakah that we observe, Zakatul Fitr had always been there. And like we said, Zakatul Fitr is the Zakah Difat Lil Fitri. The reason why that's Zakah, we call it Zakatul Fitr, is because it is connected to the end of Ramadan. In Surah Al-A'la, Zakah, the Zakah, it says that when the Zakah referred to in that verse, when Allah said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى, those who give that Zakah, they are successful. Al-Imām Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib amongst the Tabi'un, he said that Zakah that Allah says whoever gives it is successful refers to Zakatul Fitr. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib amongst the Tabi'un, he is called Sayyid al-Tabi'in. He said, Rahimahullah, that قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى, those who give Zakah, they are successful. But the Zakah that's in reference in that verse in Surah Al-A'la is what? Zakatul Fitr. So Zakatul Fitr is something that has a lot of virtue in Islam. The first of what we mentioned regarding it was that it is connected to the month of Ramadan. Once Ramadan ends, Zakatul Fitr becomes compulsory. The second thing we spoke about Zakatul Fitr is that it had been in legislation in Islam before the well-known obligatory Zakah that we know about. The third thing about Zakatul Fitr is that Zakatul Fitr was referred to in that verse in Surah Al-A'la when Allah said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى, they are successful, those who give that Zakah. Which Zakah? Zakatul Fitr. That view has been given by one of the Tabi'un, Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, Rahimahullah. Now, there are about 7 things regarding Zakatul Fitri that we would like to talk about. We like to talk about 7 things about Zakatul Fitr. The first thing about Zakatul Fitr we like to talk about is Hukmuhu, the ruling of Zakatul Fitr. Is Zakatul Fitr compulsory? Is it fardun? Or is it mustahab? Or is it even mansukh? There are some of those scholars who have that view that Zakatul Fitr is not compulsory. Some of the scholars have the view that Zakatul Fitr is not compulsory. But the correct thing, and Allah knows best, is that Zakatul Fitr since its inception, has always been compulsory. Zakat al-Fitr, since its inception, has always been compulsory. And the evidence for that is contained in a hadith by Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, who said, فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم زكاة الفطر صاعا من تمر أو صاعا من شعير على العبد والحر والذكر والأنثى والصغير والكبير من المسلمين، وأمر بها أن تؤدى قبل خروج الناس إلى الصلاة. This hadith and two other ahadith are the major ahadith we'll be discussing today. The first hadith is this hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. It contains 4 out of the 7 things we like to mention about Zakat al-Fitr. This hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar occurs in Sahih al-Bukhari. It also occurs in Sahih Muslim. And it contains 4 out of 7 of the rulings of Zakat al-Fitr. It is one of the umdah, one of the basic ahadith that forms the evidence for most of the rulings on Zakat al-Fitr. The first ruling that it contains is the very first ruling that we want to talk about, the ruling on Zakat al-Fitr. The ruling regarding Zakat al-Fitr is that Zakat al-Fitr is compulsory. Ayyuha al-Ikhwa, Zakat al-Fitr is compulsory. Why? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Abdullah ibn Umar said, فَرَضَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Zakat al-Fitr. This is the evidence. It says, فَرَضَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. The Prophet made it obligatory. The Prophet made it fard. فَرَضَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Zakat al-Fitr. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made Zakat al-Fitr compulsory. So the basic rule about that is that Zakat al-Fitr is what? Compulsory. Abdullah ibn Abbas also reported something like that when he said, رضي الله عنهما فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم زكاة الفطر. The hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar occurs in Bukhari and Muslim. The Sunan Abi Dawud and in Sunan Nasā'ī. So someone asks you, hey, come, what is the evidence that Zakat al-Fitr is compulsory? Abdullah ibn Abbas said, رضي الله عنهما فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم زكاة الفطر. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم made Zakat al-Fitr to be what? Compulsory. I hope that it is clear. There is a hadith, those who say it is not compulsory, they have some things they say. They are not just talking from the blues, even though that view is a weak view. To say that Zakat al-Fitr is not compulsory, it's a weak view. It's a weak view, but some scholars have said so. They bring that hadith of that companion, radiallahu anhu, who came to ask the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who asked him that, Allahu arsalaka. Is it Allah who has sent you? Say yes, Allah has sent me. He said, okay. He told you to observe Salah. I say yes. He told you to pay Zakah. He said yes. He told you to go for. He mentioned fast in the month of Ramadhān. He said yes. That companion asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if I don't do any other thing apart from these ones, does that suffice? Say yes, it suffices. As long as you are truthful with these ones that you do. Many of the scholars say it was only Zakah that became compulsory later that man was asking about. We know the hadith of the Imām. If the Imām was asking about Zakah, the Prophet said, ask about 5 daily Salah. He said yes. So some scholars say if any other thing was compulsory, the Prophet would have told him. Ulama say what the Prophet was explaining to him that the man was asking about were the foundations of the religion. It does not mean that those 4 things were the only things that are compulsory in Islam. Many other things are compulsory, but the first foundations of Islam, like the usul, the qawaid, the pillars of Islam were what the man was asking about. Does not mean that other things are not compulsory. I am saying this because we are in the social world now. You might have read something that says Zakat al-Fitr is not compulsory. The man who asked the Prophet ﷺ was not asking about everything. He was just asking about the foundational things that he must do. The Prophet said, yes, if you do that, Allah will accept it. He will put you into Al-Jannah. It doesn't mean that is all that is compulsory in Islam. I hope that that is clear. This hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas, it said in it that Farada Rasulullah is a clear-cut statement of legislation saying that something is compulsory. Farada Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Zakat al-Fitr. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made Zakat al-Fitr to be what? Compulsory. That occurs in Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim from the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. It occurs in Sunan Abi Dawud and Sunan Nasā'ī from the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas. That is the first thing we like to that Fitri is compulsory. The second thing we like to talk about regarding Zakat al-Fitr is that ala man tajib, upon who is it compulsory? Like Zakatul Mal, like the Zakah of money now, the regular annual Zakah that we give. It is compulsory on certain set of people. Who are those? Whoever has a nisab and it passes through a whole, that is a whole year. You have nisab, and that nisab remains with you for a whole year. It is compulsory upon you to remove your zakah. So upon who is zakah compulsory? Zakatul Fitri is compulsory. Ala al-abdi wal-hurri. Zakatul Fitri is compulsory upon the slave, wal-hurri, and the freeborn, wal-zakari wal-unsa. It's also compulsory upon a male. It's compulsory upon the female. Was-sagiri wal-kabiri min al-muslimin. It's also compulsory on the young ones and the elders, min al-muslimin, amongst the Muslims. So zakah, whether you are a slave or you're a freeborn, zakah is compulsory on you. Whether you're an elderly person or you're a young person, zakatul fitri we are talking about is compulsory on you. Zakatul fitri is compulsory upon both slave and freeborn. It's compulsory on men and women. It's also compulsory on old and young. So zakatul fitri is compulsory on everybody. We also pick that from that hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. I have told us that that hadith contains 4 rulings from the 7 issues we like to talk about. We have mentioned the ruling, the hukum of Zakatul Fitr. We say it is wajib. We took it from that hadith of Ibn Umar. We will also take alaman tajib, those upon whom Zakatul Fitr is compulsory. Will also be taken from this hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar. Abdullah ibn Umar said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Zakat al-Fitri sa'an min tamrin aw sa'an min sha'iri. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made Zakat al-Fitri compulsory. Sa'an min tamrin, we have to that. Aw sa'an min sha'ir. That is talking about the miqdar, the quantity of the items that he proposed. We are coming. He now said, Ala al-abdi wal-hurri. He made it compulsory, Ala al-abd, upon a person, whether he be a slave, wal-hurri, or the person is a freeborn, wal-zakari wal-unsa, or the person is a male, or the person is a female, was-sagiri wal-kabir min al-muslimin, or person is a young person, was-sagir wal-kabir min al-muslimin, or the person is an elderly person amongst the Muslims. So it means Zakatul Fitr is not compulsory upon non-Muslims. It is compulsory upon Muslims. Whether the person is a slave, whether the person is a freeborn, whether the person is a male, whether the person is a female, whether the person is young, whether the person is elderly, as long as you are from amongst the Muslims, Zakatul Fitr is compulsory. It is compulsory on you. So for those of us who are the heads of homes, all heads of homes, husbands, Zakatul Fitr is compulsory on you. Zakatul Fitr is compulsory on your wife and your daughters. Zakatul Fitr is also compulsory on your sons. Zakatul Fitr is also compulsory on you if you have an aged parent living with you, because it says was-Saghīr wal-Kabīr. It's also compulsory upon the young ones. It is compulsory upon aged ones, the elderly ones amongst the Muslims. So Zakatul Fitr is compulsory on the elderly, it's compulsory on the young, it's compulsory on the old, it's compulsory on the male, it's compulsory on the female. If you give birth to a child today, Zakatul Fitr becomes compulsory on you regarding that child. So Zakatul Fitr is compulsory on all of us, both male and female. It's not only regarding those who had observed the fasting of Ramadan. When we were younger than this, some people used to say that Zakatul Fitr is only compulsory for those who observe the fast. This is not correct. Zakatul Fitr is compulsory upon everybody. على العبد والحر والذكر والأنثى والصغير والكبير من المسلمين. So Zakatul Fitr is compulsory on everybody. Now, how about the consideration about Zakatul Fitr? A son is resident in a house with his father, and he is matured, but perhaps he's not able. The father still spends on him. The father will pay the zakah on that young man or young woman. Anybody upon whom the rest of the people are dependent, that is the person who will pay zakah upon himself and the rest of those people. So if you have your imam, if you have your children with you, they are elderly, they are grown up enough, undergraduates, and all of this. You, upon whom he depends, you are the one that will pay the zakah on them. That was why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Abdullah ibn Abbas said about him that Amara Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam bi sadaqatil fitri. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded that we should pay the sadaqatul fitri. This is evidence. Instead of saying zakatul fitri, we can also call it for sadaqatul fitri. He commanded that we should pay. That's another evidence that it is compulsory. The basic rule about the commands of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam is what? Obligation. So Abdullah ibn Umar said, radiyallahu anhuma, amara Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam bi sadaqatil fitri an as-Saghīr wal-Kabīr wal-Hurr wal-'Abdi mimman tamunun. This is the point of reference. Mimman tamunun. From those you spend upon. Meaning, if we say that it is compulsory upon children, it is compulsory upon who regarding those children? It is compulsory that the father pays on those children. So if you have a child today, you pay Zakatul Fitr. You pay Zakatul Fitr on the rest of your children. Like that. When you remove your own Zakatul Fitr, you remove those of your wife, you remove those of 1, 2, 3 children, then it becomes exhausted. And you don't have any other ability to. A man pays Zakatul Fitr, he pays Zakatul Fitr for his wife, and then the material becomes exhausted. and he does not have the money to buy additional material, the food for the Zakat al-Fitr over the rest of the children, then that suffices. That obligation goes away. Because once you have the food for the day of Eid, a man has the food for the day of Eid for himself, his wife, and his dependents. Whatever left is what with which you pay Zakat al-Fitr. As long as you have food for that day, the additional, once you have additional food, apart from the food that you need in your house on the day of Eid, then you are due for Zakat al-Fitr. Now, when you are due for that Zakat al-Fitr, you start paying the Zakat al-Fitr. It becomes exhausted that you pay for yourself and your wife and your first child or second child. It becomes exhausted. You don't have any other thing left. Then the obligation on those other persons becomes uplifted. Why? Al-Qudratu manatu taqlid. Ability is a cruel level of responsibility. So one able to pay for, you have paid for yourself, you have paid for your wife, you paid for one child, you have 5 children, for example. Then the obligation goes off the rest of those children. I hope that it is clear. But when you have for all others, you are the one who will pay for yourself, you will pay for your wife, pay for your children, and all those, like the Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, mimman tamun, those you take care of, those that their nafaqat are upon you, their expenses are upon you, your dependents, those who depend on you, those are those that paying Zakat al-Fitr on them is obligatory on you. Paying Zakat al-Fitr on them is obligatory on you, as long as you have what's the whole of that house on the day of Eid. You also have remnants, whether as money in your pocket or as food in your food store, and you have to pay Zakat al-Fitr. I hope that it is clear. The first ruling about Zakat al-Fitr is that Zakat al-Fitr is what? Compulsory. It is fact. Second issue about Zakat al-Fitr is that Zakat al-Fitr is compulsory upon everybody, male or female, elderly or young, free-born or slaves. If you have a slave, you have to pay Zakat al-Fitr on your slave. If you have a slave, you pay Zakat al-Fitr on your slave. If it is not a slave but a servant that serves you in your house, like your nanny, you have to pay Zakat al-Fitr on that person. As long as that person is a dependent person on you, you have to pay Zakat al-Fitr on that person. I hope that it is clear, inshallah. The third thing we'd like to talk about regarding Zakat al-Fitr is Asnafu Zakat. Those things, the various things that we give in Zakat al-Fitr. What do we give as Zakat al-Fitr? What do you give? Abdullah ibn Umar, that occurs in that hadith we said. Abdullah ibn Umar said, the first hadith we read, فَرَضَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ زَكَاةَ الْفِطْرِ. We take one rule in there, the ruling of obligation. The second thing in that hadith, it says, صَاعًا مِنْ تَمْرٍ. So from the things from which we use as zakat for at-tamru, dates. We can give dates as zakat al-fitr. But it says sa'an min tamrin. That is a sa'. A sa'un, the ulama says, as-sa'u arba'atu amdad. One sa' is 4 mud. As-sa'u arba'atu amdad. One sa' is 4 mud. And one mud is miqdaru mil'i al-yadayn al-mutawassitatayn. Mil'u al-yadayn al-mutawassitatayn. The food of 2 average hands. 2 average hands. When you put your 2 palms together, what fills it is 1 mud. 4 feet is 1 saw for 1 person. 4, 1, 2, put the hands together. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for 1 person. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for another person. I usually prefer that you do it with your hand. Yes, it's allowed to use other instruments that have been made in the Sunnah and among the Salaf. But when you do it with your hand, it's direct. They say that as-sa'u arba'atu amdad. One saw is 4 mud. There are containers for mud. But 1 mud is what? Miqdaru mil'il yadayn al-mutawassitatayn. The quantity of what will contain 2 palms put together. 2 palms together. 2 average palms put together. What fills it is called what? 1 mud. The Prophet used to use that, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, to make wudu. He used to use that to make wudu. So it was something that was well known. Miqdaru bil yadayn al-mutawassitatayn. So if you put 4 palms, put 2 palms together like that, 4 times, that is 1 saw. If you are 2, it will be tough. You are 2, 3, 4 to 12. Double hands. 2 palms times 40 if you are 10 at home. So that is what you will remove. So he said, min tamrin, whether it is from at-tamru. What is at-tamru? The dates that we eat. You know, dates that we saw and min sha'ir, or the same quantity of sha'ir. Sha'ir is because in those days they ate a lot of herbs. It's for 1 person. Maybe ask me, what is the quantity of the food I have to give? 4 handfuls. If I'm giving rice, 2 handfuls. You know, put my palms together. 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes 1 saw. That's for me. My wife, 1, 2, 3, 4. Making 8 for myself and my wife. Don't forget. Do is when you put 2 al-yadayn al-mutawassitatayn. So that is what you give. You give that quantity of or sha'ir or barley. There's a second hadith that's repeatedly mentioned in the mas'ala of Zakāt al-Fitr. The hadith of Abu Sa'id, and more of the things you do. Abu Sa'id said, Nukhri, what is 1 saw or moods? What is 1 mood? Put my 2 palms together 4 times. That is 1 saw. He said, Zakāt 1 is 400 and this statement. Because he says it is saw and min ta'am. 1 saw of food. 1 saw of food. This is where the ruling now comes to talk about rice. This is where it comes to talk about other things that we give as Zakāt al-Fitr. So it is not just about dates. It is not just about barley, sha'ir. It is not about dates alone. It is not about sha'ir alone. Abu Sa'id also mentioned al-aqit. Al-aqit is cheese that had become congealed. There's a way they prepare it to be looking like butter, chilled. Cheese that had become like the aqit. Or sa'a min zabib, or a sa'a zabib. Ready to eat them. You boil it with rice. It will give you a nice taste with boiled raisins with rice. So all of these things we are giving as Zakatul Fitr. So that first statement that Kunna nukhriju Zakatul Fitri sa'an we give Zakatul Fitr food. They started listing the food they were giving in their own times. The scholars say this is evidence that what we give as Sadaqatul Fitri is what? A sa'a of food. The food that is common in your community. That is what we call the staple food. That's why in our community now, the staple food is what? Rice. That's why we are giving rice in our time. Somebody can come, hey, where in the hadith is it stated that we fry? Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said we used to give food. And he started mentioning the food in their time. We give food. كنا نخرج زكاة الفطر صاعا من طعام. Give a saw of food. And that's why he also said وَكَانَ طَعَامُنَا, and the food we eat at that sha'iri was we buy raisins, cheese, the food that we are stable, our own food, that's fine. Meaning that our own staple food during these times. That is why, to make these things further easier, the scholars go to weigh it. They say it weighs about 3 kilograms of food. 3 kilograms of food. So you can also weigh the regular food you have, 3 kilograms. There's a question, can somebody give 3 kilograms of fish? So the question was, do we eat fish normally? We eat fish normally. And take fish. 3 kilograms. 3 kilograms. You can weigh during the times they are weighed. We can take 3 kilograms. 3 kilograms of fish. If you have 10 people in your house, you can give some kilograms. 3 kilograms times 10, that's 30 kilograms. You can choose to give some kilograms of rice, another some kilograms of fish. They are all part of it. They are from the farm in our times. It can be meat as long as it is from the things people can prepare easy. Or Zakatul Fitr. So the third point we are discussing now is, what is it that you give as Zakatul Fitr? What is the answer? What we give is a staple food. What is the evidence for that? The hadith of Abu Sa'id, that we were giving zakat from what? From food. And he said, radiallahu anhu, and the food we were eating at that time is what? Barley, sha'ir, zabib, raisins, al-aqid, congealed cheese, and things like that. What it means in our time, 20 kilograms is each person entitled to kilograms. That's of a saw. The saw, average full of a saw is what? 3 kilograms. Saw is equivalent to 3 kilograms of food. I hope that it is. The first thing about the issues we have there is upon everybody. The second thing composes on this. The one upon whom everybody in the house is. What should he do? He will Zakatul Fitri on himself and upon every other member of the house, his wife and the rest of his children. May Allah be pleased with all and accept it. The Ibn Abbas, to make us understand, people eat different kinds of food at that time. It was not just date and barley and wheat and all that. People gave food. Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma said, Amarana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam an nu'addiya zakat Ramadhān. Another name for Zakatul Fitr is Sadaqatul Fitr. Another name for it is what? Zakatu Ramadan. These names are established. You can call it Zakatul Fitri. You can call it Sadaqatul Fitri. You can call it what? Zakatu Ramadan. Ibn Abbas said, radiyallahu anhuma, the Prophet commanded us to give Zakat Ramadan, to give the Zakat of Ramadan. Sa'an min ta'amin. One sa'a of food. An-Nasā'ī wal-Kabīr. On behalf of whether the young or the old. Wal-Hurri wal-Mamlūk. Whether the person is freeborn or a slave. He said, radiyallahu anhuma, and adda saltan. Salt is a kind of sha'ir. Barley. It has a type. One of the types of barley is called what? Salt. Ibn Abbas said, man adda sultan. Whoever gave that type of barley, kubila min, it was accepted from him. Woman adda suwaiqa. Whoever also gave suwaik. Suwaik is fine flour. You have grinded your own barley, become fine flour, kubila minhu. Like that, meaning that if any of the time, if you bring dates, it was accepted. If you bring raisins, it was accepted. If you bring this, it was accepted. So different kinds. So as long as it is from the food the people generally eat, from the staples of the people, it is accepted as Zakatul Fitr for that person who has brought it. We have talked about three things. The ruling of Zakatul Fitr, those upon whom it is compulsory. We have just talked about what you can give. So what can you give? Staple food. Which quantity? 3 of mood. A mood is what? Your hand, put it together. You use it to collect the food 4 times. That is for 1 person. Or you weigh it 3 kilograms. What kind of food can you give? Every so spices. The first thing we like to talk about Zakat is work to it. The time that you give Zakatul Fitr. If you come back to that first hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, we spoke about, it has this ruling again. What is this? Ibn Umar said, radiyallahu anhuma, wa amara biha. The Prophet commanded that Zakatul Fitr, and to adda qabla khurujin Nāsir ila salah. It should be given before the people go out for salat. It should be given the people before the people go for salat. Which salat is it talking about? It is talking about Salatul Eid. So Zakatul Fitr, what time is it giving? The end time for it is that the people are in Salah and he gives Zakatul Fitr. It begins from the day, from the night when Ramadan is announced to have ended. By Ghurūb Shams today, our fasting will be 27th. So if on the 29th, like this, Ramadan was announced at Ghurūb Shams to have ended, it becomes compulsory as we had said from the beginning. From that Ghurūb Shams, everybody starts planning, running about how to pay Zakatul Fitr. Don't forget, don't let preparation of fine clothes for Eid, fine cap for Eid make you forget Zakatul Fitr. Zakatul Fitr is compulsory. It is a zakah that the Prophet made compulsory. Alayhi salatu wasalam. So don't forget. The meaning is that if you don't pay it, you are committing a sin. It's a sin, it's an act of disobedience to Allah not to give Zakatul Fitr. When does it start? It starts from the night when the moon will be said to have been sighted. The same thing if Ramadan is going to be 30. On the night of 30, once we fast 30, Ghurūb Shams comes, it becomes compulsory to pay Zakatul Fitr. And the time goes between from that Maghrib till the next morning up to the time when the people go for Salatul Eid. That's why the Prophet said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, commanded that and to adda qabla khurujin nas ila salat. The Zakatul Fitr should be paid before the people go out for Salatul Eid. In another hadith, The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says, وَمَنْ هَدَّاهَا بَعْدَ الصَّلَاةِ, whoever gives salah, sadaqatul fitri after salah, فَهِيَ صَدَقَةٌ مِنَ الصَّدَقَاتِ. This is just one of those charities. Just a charity. Just sadaqah. But if it is sadaqatul fitr, or zakatul Ramadan, or zakatul fitr, it must be before the people go out for Salatul Eid. There is a report that has been widely reported from Abdullah ibn Umar. And that report is that Abdullah ibn Umar told us that we will give Zakatul Fitr. He said, radiyallahu anhu, وَكَانُوا يُؤْتَوْنَ قَبْلَ الْفِطْرِ بِيَوْمٍ أَوْ بِيَوْمٍ. He said the people, the zakah used to be given out قَبْلَ الْفِطْر, before Eid al-Fitr, before the last day of Ramadan, بِيَوْمٍ أَوْ يَوْمٍ. That is from about the 28th day of Ramadan. If you say بِيَوْمٍ أَوْ يَوْمٍ, if Ramadan is 30, يومين قبل آخر اليوم في Ramadan will be 28. If Ramadan is 29, it will be 27. So let's say from 27. So from 27, you can start releasing Zakatul Fitr to those who collect Zakatul Fitr. In the past, in the Ummah, Abdullah ibn Umar said, يُؤْتِيهَا الَّذِينَ يَقْبَلُونَهَا. Zakatul Fitr used to be given to who? Those who collect it. That is, those who gather it. Those who collect Zakatul Fitr together. They gather it, then they distribute it. You can start giving it out to them from the 27th day of Ramadan. Like from today's Maghrib now. Once it is Ghurub Shams, you can start releasing your Zakatul Fitr. But if you are the one to hand it over to the benefactor by yourself, when does it start? It starts once it is announced that Ramadan has ended. You have Zakatul Fitr in your hand. You want to give it to somebody, you can start giving it. Be giving it to those who will benefit it. But if you are not the one giving it by yourself, you are giving it to those who give it. You can start giving to those who will distribute it on the 27th of Ramadan. I hope that this matter is clear. To work to Ikhraji Zakat al-Fitr depends on, that is the time to give Zakat al-Fitr depends on who are you giving. If you are giving the poor by yourself, if you are giving the benefactor by yourself, when does it start? It starts from the Ghurub Shams of the day that fasting ends. Once fasting ends, that's Ghurub Shams of the end of Ramadan. You can start giving it to those you want to give, if you are one giving it by yourself. But if it is collected by a central authority, you can start taking it to central authority from the 27th of Ramadan. Central authority itself will be giving it out to benefactors from when? From the last day of Ramadan. I hope it is clear, and it must be distributed. All of them must be distributed قبل خروج الناس إلى الصلاة, before the people go out for Salatul Eid. I also hope that this fourth ruling is also clear. The fifth thing about Zakatul Fitr is Liman Tusrafu. Who is it to be given to? Some of the scholars say Allah has told us in Surah At-Tawbah verse 60, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينَ وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا and so on. That zakah, talking about zakah, sadaqat, lil-fuqara, it's meant for the poor, the needy, wal-masakin, wal-amilin, those who are in charge of collecting it and distributing it. That verse counts 8 group of people. Some scholars say they are the ones that Zakatul Fitr should be given to. But what is correct is that Zakatul Fitr is not given to those 8 groups of people. Zakatul Fitr is not used to free somebody from slavery. Zakat al-Fitr is not used to build a school. It's not used as jihad fi sabilillah. No. Zakat al-Fitr is not given to all those groups. It's only to two groups of people. Masakin. And that will involve the fuqara. So the fuqara and the masakin, the poor and the needy, are the only two groups of people that will give Zakat al-Fitr to. We are not giving it to the other 6 groups of people who are qualified for the regular zakat that we give. Zakat al-Fitr, Al-Imām Ibn Rushd, Abul Walid Ibn Rushd al-Qurtubi, he said, أجمعوا على أنه تصرف لفقراء المسلمين. The scholars are agreed that Zakat al-Fitr should be given to the poor amongst the people. There's a consensus. Others are saying some others are included. Say no, it is only masakin that are included. That masakin are included is by consensus. But that others are included, there are discussions. So only the masakin are clearly involved. So what is the evidence that Zakat al-Fitr is meant for the masakin, the poor and the needy amongst us? Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, he said, فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم صدقة الفطر. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made Zakat al-Fitr compulsory. طهرة للصائم من اللغو والرفث. طهرة للصائم. This one we come under the next issue about the hikmah of Zakat al-Fitr. What is the wisdom behind Zakat al-Fitr? Perhaps we can join these two together. The wisdom behind Zakat al-Fitr has been mentioned here. What is it? Tuhuratan lis-sa'im min al-lagwi. It's a means of purification for those who have fasted. Min al-lagwi, from loose comments, loose statements, or rafat and comments, obnoxious statements during fasting. Away from al-lagwi, dirty, loose statements, or rafat, and statements that are very, very obnoxious. Rafat, dirty statements that would have made Ramadan. Allah will forgive us when we give Zakat al-Fitr. The second wisdom behind Zakat al-Fitr is that tu'matan lil masakin, tu'matan, and as a means of feasting, as a means of food, lil masakin, for the poor. So this is the second thing we take from this hadith. It means that Zakat al-Fitr is what? Lil masakin. Zakat al-Fitr shuri'at lil masakin. It is established tusrafu lil masakin. It's established to be given to look for the poor people in the community and give them this food. Look for the poor masakin that they too can have enjoying the Eid. The hadith of Ibn Abbas we just read, of course, in Sunan Abi Dawud and in Sunan Ibn Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sadaqat al-Fitr. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made Sadaqat al-Fitr to be compulsory. Tuhuratan lis-sa'im min al-lagwi wal-rafath, as a means of purification for the fasters. Min al-lagwi wal away from and dirty statements that he had made, and a means of food, a means of eating for those who are poor. We got two things from this hadith. The first one we got from this hadith is the wisdom, the hikmah behind Sadaqat al-Fitr is that it is tuhratan lis-sa'im wa turmatan lil-masakin. The second we get this hadith is that Sadaqat al-Fitr is meant for persons. Don't Zakat al-Fitr to the masjid where people already have food. Those who eat that food, they already have their own Sadaqat al-Fitr. They want to be not a feast. It's not food. It belongs to us, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He commanded you to remove it, and you must give it to those He has commanded that you give it to. That's why Al-Imām Shamsul Haqq al-Azim al-Abadi in Awn al-Ma'abud, he said this hadith of Israel, فيه دليل على أن الفطرة, it contains evidence that Zakat al-Fitr تصرف في المساكين, it should be distributed amongst the poor persons. دون من مصارف الزكاة. It is not for others among those that we give regular zakat to. Zakat al-Fitr, it is for the masakin. Usrafu il masakin. So we have discussed point 5 and point 6 together. Point 5 is that liman rafu. Who is it that we will give zakat al-Fitr to? He said zakat al-Fitr usrafu fil masakin. Zakat al-Fitr will be given to the poor. And point number 6, hikmatuhu, or hikmah, the wisdom behind Zakat al-Fitr. We have also mentioned that it is what? Tuhratun lis-sā'imi min purity. Allah lose state prophets, and means He would have made al-fasting, which is that it is tuhratun bil-masakin. It's the meal of who are poor. The Prophet said, Abdullah ibn Abbas said, فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صدقة الفطر طهرة للصائم من اللغو والرفث وطعمة للمساكين. طهرة للصائم وطعمة للمساكين. Zakat al-Fitr is a purity for the fasting person and a means of food for the person who is poor. The second point I like to mention is the equivalent of 3 kilograms of food or 1 saw of food. For example, 1 saw of fish can cost a particular amount. Is it lawful? Let's say 500 naira. Did I just give 500 naira? We are 10 in the house, for example. 500 naira times 10. That is how much? 5,000 naira. Let's say I'm giving 5,000 naira. That's my zakat to fit it. No, the scholars say لا يجوز إخراج القيمة في زكاة الفطر. They say لا يجوز إخراج القيمة لا يجوز إخراج القيمة في Zakat al-Fitr. It is not lawful to give a money equivalent of Zakat al-Fitr. From those who said that was Al-Imām al-Nawawi rahimahullah. From those who said that was Al-Imām ibn Hazm rahimahullah in Al-Muhalla. And many of that is the view of the Jumhur. The only person from amongst the older scholars who was known to say, hey, you can give it, was Abu Hanifa, Al-Imām Abu Hanifa al-Nu'man ibn Thabit. But the evidence that shows that that is a weak view is that statement of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. The Prophet was alive, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that zakah used to be given even before zakatul mal, the regular zakah. Zakatul fitr was first established to be compulsory before the regular zakah we give annually. In all those circumstances, there was gold, there was silver. The Prophet did not say they should give zakatul fitr with gold and silver. He said they should give it with food items. With food items. So if it were lawful, that should be given with money. The Prophet ﷺ would have said it. But it's in all the reports where the Prophet ﷺ gave the instruction for zakat al-fitr. He gave them to give it with food items. And when he mentioned the hikmah of zakat, it is selling masakin, a means of feed for those who are poor, food. So we should give food and not money. So we have mentioned 7 things about zakat al-fitr. The first thing we mentioned about zakat al-fitr is compulsory. It is wajib. The second thing we mentioned about Zakatul Fitr is that that's what Tajibu al-Abdi wal-Hurr. It is compulsory on a slave, it is compulsory on a free, it is compulsory on it is compulsory upon those who are elderly, it is compulsory upon those who are young. وَعَلَى الْعَبْدَكَرِ وَالْإُنْثَى. It's also compulsory on males, it's compulsory on females. Thirdly, Zakatul Fitr, what we remove is food, the staple food. And the quantity we remove is 1 saw. وَالصَّاعُ أَرْبَعَةُ أَمْدَادٍ. And 1 saw is 4 mud. 1 mud is to put your 2 fingers there, put your 2 palms together. When you put your 2 palms together, that's 1 mud. 4 of it is for you. So if you have 2, 8 of it. If you have 3, 12 of that. 12 of your handful, or 3 kilograms per person. So if you are 2, 6 kilograms. If you are 3, 9 kilograms. If you are 4, 12 kilograms, and so on. So that is what you give. When do you give it? You give it to the poor from the last night day of Ramadan. On the last day of Ramadan, when they announce it ended, immediately you start working on your Zakatul Fitr, and it will end in Khurujin Nas ila Salam. In fact, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam amara biha an tu'adda qabla Khurujin Nas ila Salam. Before the people go for Salatul Eid, that is the time you have to give Zakatul Fitr. But if you are giving it to a collection point, to a collection center, you can start giving it 2 days before the end of Ramadan. That is from the 27th night. Zakat al-Fitr to the central collection point where it will be given to everybody. What is the hikmah behind this thing? The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Abdullah ibn Abbas said that the Prophet commanded it, alayhi salatu wasalam, tuhratan lis-sa'im, the means of purifying the fasting person, وَالتُّعْمَةً لِلْمَسَاكِينَ, and as a means of providing food for those who are poor, who may not find something to eat on the day of Eid. I hope that this thing is clear about the Rahman. We can come to attempts to give responses to some of the questions that we might have asked, inshallah, about the Rahman. Ameen wa iyyakum.
First question is, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Some of us send money home to buy grains to give us Zakatul Fitr because of our presence. Then some of us. Naam ya Shaykhana.
Naam, go on. Alaykum as-salam.
It says some of us send money home to buy grains to give as Sadaqatul Fitr because of our present community. Is this okay?
Yes, it is okay. As long as the person you have given will give it out in grains. Do you understand? The person will give it out in grains, and that is what you have sent him. You have sent him to buy it and give it out in grains. As long as you clearly say buy it, give it out in grains, give it out as food, it is lawful, inshallah. It is not wrong, ikhwah, if someone cooks the food. You cook food and you wait. Ikhwah, you cook food and you wait. It is not wrong, it is from Ta'am. If you live in Ibadan, and I think our brothers who are learned in these communities too should look at this mas'ala from this angle. You cook amala with degri and a piece of meat or fish, and you weigh it, it is 3 kilograms. You can give it, that pack itself, you can give it as Sadaqatul Fitri. Look at this matter from this angle, ikhwa. It will fall under that hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Abu Abdurrahman, is this clear? We can cook rice and a piece of meat or 2, 3 pieces of meat. Weigh it and see what is the weight of that food. If it weighs 3 kilograms, you can give it out like that as Al-Fitr. Is that clear, Abu Abdurrahman? Allahu Akbar.
Considering the price of rice, don't give out gari as Sadaqah to people.
Don't give gari alone. If you want to give gari, make gari and soup. Go and weigh it 3 kilograms and give it to whomever you want to give. Abu Rahman, is this clear?
Yes,
Gari is from our staple food too, but we don't eat gari alone. If you want to give gari on the day of Eid, will you eat gari? So we eat gari, there's a way we do it. You can handle it. You can prepare it and weigh it. 3 kilograms, you give it to the person. There is gari there is soup there is meat, there's everything as Sadaqatul Fitr. It's not wrong. It will fall under that hadith. Ta'am. There's a question here. A brother said he had something to do with his wife on the 27th night of Ramadan. I think he meant the night of yesterday. Yes, the night we slept and woke up today, because this night is the night of 28th. So he meant the night of 27th, the one we just left yesterday. We came to today. We came to this daytime. He said he caused himself and his wife to sleep late, and then they missed Tarawih. Even when set alarm, they did not hear the alarm, and they woke up this morning and started fasting. What should they do? There's nothing to do than increase in your acts of worship. Don't you know that having something to do with your wife too on the night of Laylatul Qadri is ibadah? Oh my dear brother, it is ibadah too. Yes, there are reports that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to tie his izar alayhi salatu wasalam, and that's because he's in i'tikaf. When you are in i'tikaf, you don't have anything to do with women until you come out of i'tikaf. But if you are not in i'tikaf, you are not in Makkah, you are not in Medina, you are not in Masjid al-Aqsa, you are in Nigeria, perhaps you are at home, you are with your family, it's lawful for you. It's lawful for you to have sexual intercourse with your family, even if it be on the night of 27th of Ramadan. And if you do it with a good intention, inshallah, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that وَفِي بُغْضِعِ أَحَدِكُمْ صَدَقَةٌ. Even when you have intercourse with your family, it is sadaqah. So it is sadaqah for you too. And it is reported in a hadith that the Prophet too, alayhi salatu wasalam, on the days of Ramadan, he will sleep like that, he will wake up and he has janaba on him. So that there is nothing on you. There is nothing upon you to do, oh my dear brother. Know that what you have done to his ibadah. We usually close the range of ibadah to mean reading Quran and making nawafil alone. Some of these good deeds, we look at them with the small eyes, like being nice to our family, helping them do things, talking well to them, behaving well to them, and actually having intercourse with them. It's not out of place. It's ibadah too. May Allah bless that intercourse. Allahu A'lam.
So they cannot give double Zakatul Fitr. For instance, one gives and one's guardian also gives on one's behalf.
If you know they are giving on your behalf, there is no need to give. But there is something the scholars they have mentioned. Az-ziyadatu anil mansusi alayh. They called it az-ziyadatu anil mansusi alayh. bringing excess beyond what has been said. If Allah has blessed you, you have 20 children and 3 wives. So 20, you'll be bringing zakah for 24. You have 20 children, you have 3 wives, and yourself 24. So instead of bringing one saw, 24 saw, you are bringing 24 bags of rice as zakatul fitr. It is allowed. From those who gave that fatwa was Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. It is allowed. It is allowed. It is called az-ziyadatu anil mansusi alayh. It should be taken from the aspects of tatawwu, bringing excess. But you shouldn't bring lower than that. Don't bring lower than a saw. So you can give more than 1 saw. If you are 4 in the entirety of your house, that is 4 saw. You can give 5 saw. You can give 10 saw. But don't give less than 4 saw. So you are allowed to give more, but don't bring less. I hope it is clear. The scholars have discussed it. They call it az-ziyadatu anil mansusi alayh. Is it clear, Abdur-Rahman? So if your dependent is giving on your behalf, because it is stated that those who should pay the zakah on your behalf are those you depend on, but you have some ability to, you can give it, you can give to, you can give additional, but don't give less. You can give more, but don't give less. I hope that it is clear, inshallah. Ameen.
So please, is zakat location specific? For instance, if my husband fasted part of Ramadan abroad with 2 wives, and he fasted part of it here in Nigeria, does he have to pay for zakat abroad and also in Nigeria?
You should pay zakatul fitr wherever it is easy for you. Pay zakatul fitr wherever it is easy for you. Give zakatul fitr. We are saying we are not. We say give because pay always has to do with money, and give always has to do with other than money. Even though give can be used for money too, but let's not forget zakatul fitr is not money. It's food. It's about food. Zakatul fitr is about food. So you can give it wherever. Just be sure that you give it to the poor Muslims. And you give it before they go for Salatul Eid. One of our brothers here says that he's begging Allah to give him a child. May Allah give this brother a blessed child. May Allah give him a blessed child, blessed children. That will be a means of goodness for him in this world and hereafter. May Allah give him blessed children, males, females. That will be means of goodness for him in this world and the hereafter. I mean,
Please, can I give my Sadaqatul Fitr to a sibling whom I'm not responsible for feeding? He is a married man but struggling financially.
Yes, as long as the needy person. If he's a needy person, it doesn't mean that he's working or he's not working. Some people are working, and that work itself does not suffice them at all. I'm not talking about it does not suffice them to buy flat screen Panasonic TV in their household. That's not what I'm talking about. They have wives, they have children, they are struggling. They are struggling. Clearly, they are struggling. It's not that they are struggling to be luxurious. They are struggling to even meet average lifestyle. To meet average needs, they are struggling. And the man is working day and night. He is entitled to Zakatul Fitr. Give him Zakatul Fitr. Give him that is miskin. He will come under Masakin. There will be people who are more in needy than him, like the Fuqara. The Fakir does not have anything. The Miskin has some, but his needs are still far much more than whatever he earns. It's a Miskin. So, and the two of them fall in this category. We give them to the fuqara and the masakin. Zakatul Fitr. Allahu Alam. Ameen.
This one says, if I'm gifted a bag of rice by another individual, can I give Zakatul Fitr from it, or do I have to purchase for that purpose?
You don't have to purchase. Once someone gives you a gift, it comes in your control. Once it comes to it, it comes in your control. If you are given a gift, it comes in your control, it becomes your own. So you have the power to make tasarruf on it, to spend it as you will. It comes in your control. So you can give it from what you have been gifted, inshallah. Naam.
This question is on Hajj.
Hajj. Umrah. Naam.
Is Tawaf al-Wada recommended act for one who performs Umrah, or it is only for one that performs Hajj?
Full wada for those who perform Umrah. The scholars are divided upon it. Some say it is for both of them, because it says, لِيَكُنْ آخِرُ أَهْدِكَ بِالْبَيْتِ أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Let the last of your dealings with the house, meaning the Kaaba, let it be tawaf. And you know, whether you are in Hajj or you are in Umrah, you are dealing with the house, you are dealing with the Kaaba. If you go to the Kaaba, you make tawaf, you pray Masjidul Haram. So instead, let the last of your dealings with the house be a tawaf. If you look at it, it will include the time of Hajj or Umrah. So I usually make tawaf just khurujan min al-khilaf, to go out of difference of opinion. Nobody says it is unlawful. They are just saying, should I do it or I should not do it? So if I do it, those who say it is not compulsory for the person making Umrah, I would have gone out of that khilaf, the difference of opinion. So I do it, and I encourage the people to do it, because that is from my last dealings with the house. And he said that the last of my dealings with the house should be a tawaf. Is this clear to us? I mean, one.
No, please, can a menstruating woman touch or read from the Quran without a barrier?
You say what?
Can a menstruating woman touch or read from the Quran without a barrier?
Yes, a menstruating woman can touch or read from the Quran. A menstruating woman can touch the Quran. A menstruating woman can read the Quran, as long as the menstruation is not in her hands, that will bring filth to that copy of the Quran. As long as that is removed, it is lawful for a woman in menstruation or sexual impurity to touch the Quran. Can we call it today here about Abdur-Rahman? Bismillah, we'll discuss Eid in the evening tomorrow. In the morning tomorrow, we go back to our lessons on Al-Adab al-Mufrad, inshallah. Then in the evening tomorrow, we'll discuss Salatul Eid, so that we have knowledge of what we are doing. It is compulsory for a Muslim at every point in time to know what he is doing. So we are discussing Sadaqatul Fitr, so that when you are now giving your Sadaqatul Fitr, you are giving it based upon knowledge, not upon ignorance or common culture. May Allah protect all of us. We come back to class tomorrow. tomorrow morning for Al-Adabul Mufrad, inshallah, and in the evening for the discourses about Salatul Eid. May Allah grant us long life and protect us and forgive us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ameen, ameen, ameen.